Hello, hello, hello. We're back. It's the IGR podcast. Got a good guest. One of my brothers, man. We got Jonathan Lewis. Before we get started, just a quick shout out to Vision Apparel. Go follow them on Instagram. Shout out to Law. He does our beats. Follow him, Timmy Turner, on Instagram. He's everywhere. He's doing big things. But we're here with John. We're going to get into some stuff. We got a lot to talk about. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for having me. I love the content that you're putting out right now.
Thank you.
I'm ready to get real. Let's get real.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's jump right in. So basically, like how I knew you, I met you in college and stuff like that, and you were a really guiding voice in terms of, faith and Christianity and stuff like that. So how did you sort of find your faith or get back into it? Any obstacles there?
Right. That was a long journey. From my roots, my dad's a pastor. He's a minister. He has a doctoral degree in theology. Went to seminary school, so I have a strong background just from my father growing up in a Christian home. My mother herself, she's strong, more in a spiritual sense of being a prayer warrior. So being raised in a home, also as the youngest, that journey was it was a lot of self-identifying. Understanding what I wanted to believe in myself, and it wasn't a straight path. It's not always about how you start, but how you finish. And ending up where I am now, it took a lot of studying for myself, becoming a prayer warrior for myself through trials and tribulations, understanding other religions, understanding why I believe what I believe, and the truth more so.
Truth. That's what's up. So were there any obstacles? Like, did anything lead you away from that and you sort of got back into it, or?
Yes, I would say the biggest time of influence was probably from the 8th grade to my senior year in high school. And I know a lot of people can resonate with, that's the time where you solidify in adulthood and you find who you are. And you're trying things, you're meeting different types of people at school, or becoming more connected within your community as you realize what you like and what you don't like. Some of the obstacles I would say would be, I would even say vices. I would deem those to be helpful because it helped me recognize, what I liked or didn't like. An obstacle, damn.
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. I mean, because I think it cuts right to the heart. Like with me personally, it was, is this shit real? Come on. Like,
right.
Is this real? But and then I got to the point to where it was like, all right, I have to suspend the disbelief because me having faith is better than me not having faith and going through the world, looking for other stuff or constantly searching. So being rooted and grounded in some stuff, it really, really benefited me.
Right. Okay. I think what's making it a little bit difficult to answer the question with the word obstacle is because I see that as a means to growth. So even with that, having that question myself and having doubt, it's kind of like when people make spaghetti and they throw a little bit of sugar. Having a bit of contrast can bring out more into it. So I always do make sure I question enough, but making sure that it's reasonable and I keep it in check. Because most of my study, and I know you can attest to this, that the reason why I know so much that I do is because I ask questions. And without questions, having that bit of doubt and continuing, you won't be able to get any deeper. So that's why I can't really say obstacles, because it's not even to say, you learn from experience, but if you don't take everything with it, you're going to leave some things behind. So I had to take going through what does it mean having sex partners, or having, going through what is drinking like for me, or what is smoking like for me, what is having doubt, or is this real like to me, and taking everything with it helped me realize and deepen my understanding what it is about it, why and how, and altogether it strengthened my faith even more. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's beautiful. I mean, yeah, because you talked about your dad and your parents, and you're first generation, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So was it super like still going with the whole Christianity thing? Was it sort of like a super pressure growing up to be super Christian or to be Haitian in American and have to live up to that? How was that growing up?
That was oh yeah. You Sunday morning, you don't have a choice. You come into church. I mean, that's from like the age of 7, 8, 9. Then you get steeper and steeper, and the hand doesn't. The hand comes off. It does more and more, and you're more free to make your choices because they do recognize you more as an adult. But they do their due diligence to make sure that while you're young, they teach you in the ways you should go. They try to put all the bones and create the structure so that it's in you. So they, I mean, at least they can know, like when you're older around this age, that they know they taught you the fundamentals and it's a part of your mentality. And even if you don't follow it yourself, you can somehow always come back to it by
Raise you up in the way you should go. But is there like, could I follow a different religion and get that same exact grounding? I mean, rooting and like lessons and stuff like that. Like, do I have to choose Christianity to be a good person?
So even within that, I think the conversation for me always goes into the subjective words, opinionated words like good and bad. When we ever, and the conversation I have is that we can all see ourselves as good people, and we all do want to see ourselves as good people because we surround that with the actions of giving back, and we understand that to be good because it's helping and it's lifting. But it's not a matter of good or bad because that's subjective, and that's an issue of morality because some people do things that are good that other people see as bad, and we're seeing that right now with racism that some people deem as good and bad, and we know the history of that. But Christianity itself, what differentiates itself with it being the way is the accuracy. That's something I always go back to because you do see
like,
multiple
why is it
religions.
the way?
Why is it the way? Okay.
Yeah, the way above all.
Now, this is going to be very historical in this manner. Looking at the origins of Christianity itself, we take the root, what it stands for. It represents people in a way that cannot be compared. When we say things like love, when we use certain definitions that we know today, or even principles that we understand, it comes from Christianity as an originator. Taking the time to understand that everything has a time. Like there's a time for everything. You'll hear a mom blackering their kids like, "Hey, it's not time to play. It's time to do your homework." Or all these understandings that we get, it originated from the Bible. And the Bible itself, I'll get into why that's approved. But Christianity.
I mean, I'm asking, could I not get that from Buddhism or Hinduism or Islam? Like, are you saying that they don't have those principles?
No, they don't. They come around the morality on a cultural way. Because here's the thing with Christianity in explaining why it's the way. Because first we have to understand that what was coming out of it was something that's groundbreaking. The differentiation between just the morality and the faith part is one man. One man has separated all the lines where we can say we're all good people. There's one man that changes that, the course of it. Or we can say the big three between Islam, Judaism, Christianity, we can all say we have the same father, fathers of faith, but then
Abraham?
It becomes a point, right? Yeah, Abraham, that man, something else. But when we look at what separates, and separation, sometimes we think as a bad thing, sometimes is a good thing. What separates it is a man named Jesus and his life. What Jesus came with was that.
You're saying that it was so different, like it was revolutionary. He put it in a different way, different context. Okay.
Right. And it's not even to say that it he was just a mere man, because that lessens the intentionality of what God was trying to do. What Christianity makes the way is because we see a first account experience of what do we understand to be as God as an example. So again, let's say for example the Islam religion. Again, I don't know which lever to pull on, because I can pull on the spiritual.
Well, just give me a quick one. Give me what's on the top of your head.
All right, top of my head. Islam, right? They have a very strong reverence for God. They say, God doesn't have any children. God is so great where we do things out of respect. So before you pray, you wash, you do all these practices to make sure you come clean before God. To make yourself right physically, mentally, to approach them, right? Now, they also believe that God is also far enough where there's the reason why they pray they do is because it's out of respect. They come respectfully, and there's no authenticity in that. And what Jesus does
That's subjective, though. I don't think all Christians believe that.
I'm confused, but what do you mean?
That you said that like that's inauthentic. Like, how's that inauthentic?
Oh, I'm giving you the comparison. I'm gonna give you the comparison.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped all over you.
No, you get. So in comparison, we see what we're asked of in Christianity is to give us to not action based, but we're asked of hearts. We're asked to give thoughts. We're asked to give in a sense everything that we might feel in a moment, and we don't have to we're not called to any rituals, we're not called to any practices, but we're able to do it freely without having to filter ourselves in any way. And we see examples that throughout the Bible of people who are angry and they can express their anger. So it's understanding that God is personal to us, and his personal sovereignty is displayed by him coming incarnate to show us the way. Like, he loved us so much that he left where he was in his presence to come here, show us an example, and also was hated, betrayed, and suffered, gave his life so that he could redeem us in that way. That's personal. It's personal because it's like, bro, like you did this. This was an act of love. This was an act of sacrifice. And we can see that. We can recognize that. We can see that it goes a little bit more into being intentional. I think that's the word. Being intentional and showing that love and experiencing it. So yeah,
I feel you. I mean, I definitely see what you mean now. But I'm gonna pivot off this. But before I do, what do you say to those who have some questions about like the whole burning bush thing? You know what I mean? Like it was just a psychedelic trip, or
yeah.
I mean, like, did God really speak through a bush? Like, how do you wrap your head around that?
Yeah. See, this is like goes back to what you was talking about earlier of the questions, and like questions like these is what create even more faith. But I wrap my head around it too. Of a bush was speaking to you. It's just funny in itself, but that was a pinpoint of what started, but also not the first confirmation. There was other times where it was confirmed.
But focusing on that confirmation.
Oh, that specific one, the bush.
Focusing on that specific one. Do you really give any weight to that? Or are you sort of just like, oh, just his interpretation?
Definitely, I say that's an interpretation. Understanding what, from my biblical understanding, the bush can very so be on fire. But again, understanding the Bible, fire is used for a lot of things. It might not have been a physical fire. It might have been, again, for me, I'm not too familiar with that confirmation because that's not one I key on. I don't think that was much of in terms of a crux, but it is because that's when he said I am that I am. But understanding what fire represents, it represents purification processes. So when fire is applied to something, it burns what is within it and consumes it and that's what fire is one of like the main elements that you'll see God use. But the bush itself not being burned and being on fire, bro, that's fire. I think that's an interpretation. It's again, there's a deeper meaning to just being a bush on fire. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, it's not just it just wasn't like he was walking on shrooms and like, damn, this bush is on fire. Like, this is crazy. I'm hearing things now. It was more so an encounter that could have been even more than seeing something. But what's more important is that it wasn't only him. And that can go into the origins of other religions, as Muhammad saw the angel Gideon, I believe it was Gideon, that came to him in a dream. There wasn't other confirmation around that. When you see origins, when you see Buddha in his own way, and shedding that light of what he realized on his own, when you have multiple sources that can confirm, it strengthens it. I believe in regards to crime, if there's a certain amount of witnesses, it becomes true. And that's what we see with, I'm not trying to get too off topic, but we see that in the case of Emmett Till.
I don't know.
We see that in the case with Emmett Till, where when enough people can confirm something, witnesses, it becomes accepted truth, you can say. So confirmation from multiple people, multiple witnesses, can confirm something to be true.
Emmett Till didn't do what they said he did.
Exactly. I mean, that's why it's important to have multiple witnesses, because the reason why we know he didn't do
it. But they did have multiple witnesses. They were just lying. That was a horrible example.
The reason why we know he didn't do it, well, that goes into I don't know if this is the next topic, but the reason why we know, here's what I'm saying though, is like, in that specific situation that I used, the voices of the people that know he didn't do it weren't equal to the ones that said he did. Those voices were those voices weren't respected at the time. With it 3/4, what is it? 3/12.
So what if 3/4? So what if 3/5? What if it was the same way with? What if it was the same way with Jesus?
It was, and that's not.
No, I'm saying what if it was the same way? No. What I'm saying, what if it was the same with Jesus in terms of, though it didn't happen, but there was enough people who were like, oh, that probably happened, and then they were the majority and they wrote history.
Well, that's the thing, though.
Using your example.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. We don't have to say if. It's that it's one, because it did happen.
How do you know?
It's in the Bible, bro. What are you talking about? The Bible and outside the Bible. What we see in the churches after the ascension of Jesus explains to us that.
But I'm saying, what if all those
it's not
people?
If, though. It did happen. It's not if. It did happen.
Based on your faith, but I'm saying
it's not based on my
hypothetically,
faith.
right? Hypothetically, right? What if those people? Yes, it does. What if those people? What if those people who are writing the history and controlling the narration and everything about it, what if it really didn't happen, but they're like, oh my God, this dude kind of has a movement behind him. Let's just stick with this. And if you tell enough people, just like you said with the Emmett Till thing, if you tell enough people it happened, it becomes truth, whether it was real or not. Using your example.
Right. So now, when you have I'm going to go back to the first point I'm saying. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of one.
You're saying it happened because it did happen because it's in the Bible.
No. I'm not saying that.
That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Bro, I'm saying that what you're saying right now, that people saying that it happened just because it is word to mouth, happened in real time. Like, there were denominations that said Jesus didn't rise from the dead. Like, that literally happened in time. That's what
I know. And in that case, okay,
right,
the people who did believe it happened, that outweighed the people who didn't, right?
Right. Yes.
But what if I'm saying, just like the Emmett Till thing, what if it really didn't happen?
Right.
But everyone who's saying it did happen.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, everyone who's saying it did happen. I got you now. What if they're completely wrong and have changed the course of history?
Okay, so this is what changes, especially using.
Shit.
Okay, this is what happens specifically referring to the Emmett Till thing, right? You have white people who are from the same culture, same background, conforming to this idea of truth because of confirmation from one person and running with it, right? When you look at Christianity, it was not only from one place. It was the Asian Minor, it was Europe, and Northern Africa. So you have people from different backgrounds who don't even know each
But
other
how
that
did it
confirm
get
the same
there?
thing.
How did it get there for them to believe? Is what I'm saying. How did they get there? Letters. Okay, so if I'm over here and someone's over
Right.
there and they write me a letter saying some shit over here happened, I'm not there.
Right. Okay, so Jay, if I tell you my mom died, right?
I can't confirm that. I'm not there.
Good. Cool. My brother calls you up. He says my mom died. Can't confirm it. You're not there. Boom. My cousin called you. My mom died. End of the day, can't confirm it. You're not there. But I send you an invitation to the funeral. You still don't know if she's really dead or not.
I'd have to open up the casket.
So at that point, you could take as much as we give you and come to your own sensible conclusion. That's it. At the end of the day, you could come to your own sensible conclusion.
Yeah, that's why I started this conversation. Yeah.
Why she died, how she died, the anatomy of her death through the confirmation of people from New Jersey to Florida. We heard, again, like, let's say the police brutality that we don't see. How do we know that it even happened? We don't know if it's true.
Well,
we only know by
what do
the
you mean?
videos that we see. No,
the
other than the videos that we have. Yeah, other than the videos, how do we know?
Said other than the videos, how do we know?
Yeah. Let's say someone makes a claim, right, in Florida, but there's no video. A young man unarmed. No. We don't have a video of Botham Jean.
Well, his word against the other guy's word.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, that's really what we have. We have statements. We have, if it's, because that's one thing I learned in
But how can you trust in that so wholeheartedly?
Because when you dig deeper into, well, going back to Christianity thing, for me personally, understanding the people at the time, the even from the writing and why it was written, how it was written, from the different backgrounds and through the time, there's no string of how do I say? There's no string of moral error.
I'm saying, are you digging deeper into things that just confirm your belief?
No.
Like, are you looking for answers that support your answer? Or are you just looking for details?
Bro, you know I don't. I talk to atheists just to build my own faith. Like, I need doubt.
Hey, bro, I'm just asking.
Like, you know that about me. Like, I'll really sit down talking to someone who does not believe at all just to understand how much I believe myself. Like, I will Google all day long.
But you're saying that it's all based on belief at the end of the day.
I will Google how is the Bible wrong to go back and see what is wrong with the Bible.
No, but I just want to say this. I'm going to say this before I go on to the next subject. You're saying that at the end of the day, whether you have all the information, all the sources, it still goes back to your belief and faith.
Okay. Right. That's what connects the dots. You can learn as much as you want, but you
still have to have faith.
Right. That leap of faith is called a leap because it's like you have to extend it yourself. Like you get to a point where you're standing on your own 2 feet and you have to make that little jump. You don't know if you're going to make that's what the faith is. You don't know what that jump is going to look like, but if you're really about it, if you're really YOLO, F it, I'm jumping. Like,
no, straight up. But going off of like the morals and values that you learn from Christianity, pivoting into love, like how do you approach love? Is there any examples that like kind of challenge that what do you define as love? Like, how do you love? I should ask.
Okay. Well, I heard you mention before, like, the 5 love languages. That's really the basis of how I understand love. There's even from a literature standpoint, we got agape love. We have philo 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 love,
Philo, brotherly, yep.
right? We have
Mania, which is obsessive.
upset. Yeah.
That gets us all.
Anyways, the five love languages is like if you're a person who likes touch, if you like gifts, if you like words of affirmation. So the way I love is I have to understand the person. And this is where we talked about before, also me being judgmental, but which I've worked on. I've been trying to understand people because my judgment comes from trying to understand who they are, so I know how to approach them. I've been.
What do you mean?
Like I have to discern the person and who they are, so I know how to love them. Like for example, we have a friend that she doesn't react well with words of affirmation. Like she has like compliments is not her. That's not her love language.
Yeah.
So that's not how you love on her.
And it might not be her language at all. Let's be real. It's like, I'm joking. I don't know. But no, yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah, she don't speak that language. So you have to like have discernment and understand and have good judgment of the person to understand how you can love them. So you can't just go saying, I love everybody. You're loving them the wrong way. So that's not loving within itself. You're just trying to self-approve yourself and say you're doing something that you're not taking your time to do. Love is patient.
So you're saying that we should be looking to find someone who is able to receive our love language, and also we have the ability to receive theirs, so that they align. Like you don't have to have the same love language, but if I can receive your touches and that's fine and affectionate with me, and you can receive my gifts and that's fine and that's affection for you, is that what we should be looking for?
I didn't know we talking about romantic type of love. I was
no, I'm just saying that I'm just saying like that's just an example.
Okay. I believe that's a major part. The love languages have to fit each other where one is banking off the other. So if you're very fond of touch, and I'm very fond of quality time, we have to be able to learn how we can suit each other. How
we can spend time while we touching.
Right. Yeah.
I'm joking.
But no, that's exactly it. And for some, it's as simple as this. So it doesn't get complicated. If you cherish quality time, and you and another person cherishes more material things like gifts, right? It goes as simple as one person might not feel quality time is going to get a gift. And that's just simple conversation. I think most times when you have just direct conversation of what do you like, what I don't like, and, not trying to just go on the high strong thing, you cut out all the bull. Like you get through the grass, you get through the fog. Like quality time is not gift giving. All right, that's not my language. Like quality time, this is what quality time means to me. This is my language. This is what gift giving means to me. Maybe it's homemade gifts. Maybe it's not a Birkin bag. It's learning. You know the name of the language.
Well, I mean, I would say that like you're in Brooklyn, so a Birkin goes a long way. Hey.
Yo, it do. You can get anybody with a Birkin. You can get anybody.
I'm just saying, but yeah, no, I definitely see the value in what you're saying for sure.
How do you love?
How do I love? I don't know. I mean, I think me personally, like I'm figuring that out. I would say like in terms of like my friends and platonic relationships, it's definitely spending quality time. I definitely spend quality time. Gifts. I wasn't always huge on gifts. That's never been a big thing like growing up or anything like that. But I mean, just like this, like having conversations. So words, you know what I mean? Having conversations, showing it through actions, you know what I mean? If you're going to say you're going to be there, all right, and if you know me, I like to be punctual. So, if you respect me enough, you'll be there at 3:00. Or if you can't be there, you'll at least say, hey, listen, man, I'm going to be there 25 minutes late. Just small things like that. You know what I mean? Just making sure like, okay, he took into consideration or she took into consideration how I feel, how I am, you know,
Yeah.
and then made that step, and vice versa. And I try to do the same thing. I mean, as best as I can. But I think completely and totally, like I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay's big on that, guys. Not gonna be there. Speak up.
I'm saying, I'm no straight up, because I feel as though it's like, especially when we have like phones and like texting, like
Right.
if you're like our phones, whether you believe it or not, our phones are attached to our body. You know where your phone is, or if
Yeah.
not, especially with Apple and the ecosystem, if you're on your laptop and you're like, oh, my phone's over there, you got iMessages up here. You know what I mean? If you got your watch, so you see sort of where it is,
Right.
and you can get that message. So I think it's very simple to just click back in and just say, hey, listen, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think sometimes, because I wanted you to speak on platonic relationships amongst friends and people around you, because people hear it all the time, like being a good friend means you can be a good person in a relationship or a good lover. And I think that gets ran by a little too quick, and it became too cliche, where people don't understand that if you can't make sacrifices, small or big, or learn how to be emotionally there for someone day in, day out, or week over week for someone, same gender or not, how do you expect to do that on a romantic level when it becomes more complicated? You know, like
Absolutely.
how can you not have tough conversations with your friend about how they might speak on you sometimes innocently too, you know? Well, like me and you always have tough conversations. We've been there. And it's like, how can you not do that authentically and genuinely and expect to be in a romance now where there's feelings attached
With someone else, absolutely. Because
right.
I mean, really, what you're saying is like you learn off of every relationship that you have. You should be, at the very least. Whether it's, you know, you're learning how to move a different way or continue to move in this direction. I think you're absolutely right. But you asked me about like platonic relationships. I think really just focusing on, especially with the opposite sex. So like, you know, with the opposite sex, like it's very important because it teaches you how to respect women. You know, it teaches you how to respect them, teaches you how to not always want, whether physical or, you know, have to always take, but say, okay, let's just have a conversation. Let's just sit down and just be, you know, the platonic, let's just be friends. So that really helped me a lot, just having friends that's like, and I had to learn that. I had to go through a lot of bad things to get there, to say, okay, no, she's cool. We're just going to chat. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. Because then, like you said, when you go into a romantic relationship, you know how to just be friends. But also, if you want to go to the next step, you're sort of already knowing how to operate with females so that you don't, you know, make them feel uncomfortable or anything like that. But say respectfully, hey, listen, I'd like to take this to the next level.
Right. And, you speaking facts right now. Even to, I would say to most women, if, you know, listening to this, you have to think, how long do you have your friends for? You know, we live in a cancel culture. Quick to cancel and not get into conflict, or even if you're super confrontational, you're confronting it with canceling. But I'm, you know, listening to this, I'm really challenging y'all. Forget the cancel culture. Can you have those tough conversations? Because most people aspire to marriage, you know, finding the right one. When you sign that paper and you realize, yes, divorce is an option for some people, they marry and keep that door open if it needs to be. But the process of it is not sweet. Even down to the legal part, that is not sweet. So
it's a long journey.
Even if you want to cancel in marriage, you're not out of it the next day. So think about this. If you want to aspire to marriage, you know, and that's a healthy thing to do, you have to consider the fact that there's going to be conversations like that. And if you can't practice it with friends and you're canceling friends and you don't have the patience to endure long suffering, which is also a definition of love, being able to endure, then how can you aspire to a goal that you can't do on a micro level? How can you aspire to be a CEO if you can't learn the skills you need as an employee right now? You know, like one of our friends say, she'll be a janitor just to get where she need to be. Learn how to, every tile on the floor.
I shout out. I love Elvie.
Yo, shout out to Alvy, because
Shout out to Elvie for sure.
That's what it is. Because when you see CEOs that do get to that spot and they go back down to work with workers, like Lowe's, the CEO, he's on the floor. And there's nothing better to know that you can reach a height, but also understand how to do it. And one more thing, with knowing that, a lot of our guy friends, fellas, you don't gotta, everything's not sexual. You feel me? Like, not everything is a nut. Like, bro, I don't know what's happening, but I'm sorry about that. Not everything is a nut. Everything doesn't need to be sexualized. Not everything is a quick chase. And that comes with self-discipline. And we don't see that a lot with most men. Like, I never push my abstinent agenda on nobody. That's a journey in itself.
John's a big abstinent guy.
Why you said it like that?
John's a real big abstinent guy. He's huge on the abstinence.
But I don't push that on everyone, because it really isn't for everyone. God knows that. But within it, even without doing it, it's the fact that you don't even have self-discipline to pick and choose. You feel me? I'm gonna address this as kings. Like, bro, we are worth more than a piece of balls and dick. Like, we are more than that. And it's like, you get a woman friend, and something happened, boom. You get another woman friend, something happened, boom, burnout. And it's like this cycle always continue. And I always have to ask, like, don't y'all get tired? And even for the ladies, if you do have a guy friend, you call him your brother, it's like, are you just using him for relationship advice? Because I've been there before where I'm friends with a woman, but they're only asking me from my male point of view. And of course, every friendship has its silo. You have a person for each thing. But it comes to a point where
to an extent.
Right. The extent was like, you don't even care about me. You just care that I'm a man and you can ask me.
Yeah.
Like, I was just as good as a stranger in the street at that point. Like, we're not actually.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're not actually valuing your relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just using me for my gender. That's the reality. We see that with race. Like, you're just using me because I'm black. Same thing happens with men. Like, I'm a man, so you're using me for my manhood. Even with that, you're using me because you know that I want to pursue you. So I want to take you out. I want to do this. And you can pull on that. And that's why I always say women are the most powerful people in the world. What? Women?
That's a whole nother subject.
That's a whole nother
it's
subject.
It's definitely a whole nother subject, but I'm definitely glad we went there. But just to ask you about your everyday life.
Yes, sir.
So I know you go to school for marketing, right? And stuff like that. And you also like art and fashion. How did you get into that? Like, what really made you want to do that? Is it love that got you into that? Maybe is it you just like clothing, you like to look good? Like, what really got you into art and fashion and combining that with your already marketing?
Yeah. The practical origin was that when I was around 12, 13, my brother started doing photography, and it became high fashion photography. So I have those, like, that practical route. And at the time, I was being bullied because I was overweight and had eczema. So that's like the practical. So I just wanted to look cool.
Bro, why you say it like that, though?
That's the reality.
Why you say it like that? Like, say it with your chest, bro.
We all got bullied. It's all right. Because when I came back with that drip, bro.
Nah, you got bullied.
You live in Connecticut. Y'all more educated to know not to do that to someone's emotions.
Shut up. Not even close, but no, yeah.
But I realized my connection with clothes is that I can put this on, and it's almost wearing me on the outside. Like, however I feel, I can express it on the outside. And that transformation was in high school when I didn't want to be seen as just a kid anymore. And that's when I really connected to fashion big time, because I was like, I don't want to be seen as a kid. So guess what I did? I dressed like a grown ass man, and anyone would tell you in high school I was wearing suits. I was on it. I had my
Straight
loafers.
up,
I was
bro.
clicking down the hallway, and people respected me. That's what
I
I
was,
wanted, and that's what I put
I
on.
was clicking down the hallway. You sounded like
Nah, not heels. Don't do
John was clicking. John was clicking down the hallway with keys. You had keys. You had janitor keys and heels. Oh shit! I respect it. Go get it, young king.
No.
Or
Well, for real.
queen. I don't know how you identify.
Very. No, I'm sorry. That's another thing, identifying. But I put on what I wanted to be, and that was really that. Even now, like I put on who I want to be. If I want to be, if I want to just be calm, I'll be calm. Even if everybody knows if you want to look a certain way, you can put it together, but you make it personal to you. That's the difference.
So your clothes on the outside is a reflection of how you're feeling on the inside.
Yes, it's not just a word. You don't just say, I want to look cool. Let me get some Balenciagas, or I want to look fashionable. So I'm gonna search it up on Instagram.
No, I see. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you mean. Like if you're feeling more like in tune with God and like you just came from praying, like you might put on like a whole entire priest outfit because like that's how you feel.
Yeah,
that's how you feel. I've seen John do that.
Like like we spoke about that even spiritually. Like when you explaining me to your spirituality and how you practice it, that's what I'm saying. That tough conversation when I was just like, no, and I was trying to fight you on it. I had to sit back, take my time, and go back to my quarters, go back to my Bible. Like that's what I'm saying. That caused growth because I realized, no, that is you. That is how you were like made. That's like no one will come with that view except you yourself. And that's the same with clothes. Like you have to realize some things, there are like simple little rules, like the fundamentals, like like certain fabrics, just like you can't wear a poncho with a rubber boot and a sandal, a flip-flop sandal, because then it's not understood, it's not captured. So you lose people. And that's how it goes into marketing. Like you're marketing yourself in that moment when you put on these clothes. And you have to be able to be different enough but also people can understand it and pull it back in. Like Apple was so different. Like a phone with no buttons. This is crazy, but it has to be simple enough. Yeah. But people got to understand it enough so they can have it. Because if it was too different, people can't connect with it. They're like, wait, this is too much. Like, and we see that with Samsung making foldable phones. Like, that's cool, but that's too much.
Well, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying, where you have to have like a complete vision and purpose behind it for it to make sense so that people understand it and also so that it accurately represents you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct. So that's how fashion and marketing, like just now, like you are yourself marketable. Like you market yourself every day by how you speak, how you put yourself together, what you put into your mind, how much you invest into yourself. You are a living entity, and the worst part about it is, yep. Wait, I'm a commodity? Is that?
Commodity.
I heard someone say that. No, I forgot what someone said. But you are.
John is spicy. He's a novelty. He's different.
You're one of one, so you have to treat yourself like you're one on one. You can't. Again, that's my thing about this youth thing of like going too wild. Is like, let's get wild in the right way where we can fail as much as we want with no consequences. Like, you want to make music, people think it's corny. Oh well, you're 20, just do it. Don't wait till you're 35.
I see what you're saying.
Do it.
Yeah, express yourself in the way that's also adding skill and benefit to your life.
Yes, just don't do it aimlessly.
Well, there's some passion projects.
Those are quite respectable. Just can't really understand it. Respect it, but can't get my head around it.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. All right. Just logically, yes, you can drop out of school and pursue what you want to do. However, again, this goes towards the person, because some people can do minimal living where they don't need much. Like you, like when you pack, you don't need like, oh, I need some shorts, some socks, some shirts, right?
I promise you when I go to Florida in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna be there for a month, I'll probably go with a duffel bag, like in a backpack. Like it's really all you need.
Right. And that was yours, what you gave me for my first time traveling. And I did that, and I was like, that is not me. I need a couple shirts.
Add suitcases. Okay, guys.
I need a little bit more shoes, Jay. I'm wearing 2 pairs. I don't think this match.
Yeah. No, definitely though. Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You can't drive an SUV in a 1 lane. You can't, ride a motorcycle on a 5 lane. Like, you have to understand what you are.
Your lane.
Yeah. Some people are trying to drive a 5-wheeler on the sidewalk. Like, bro, that's
a 5-wheeler.
A 5-wheeler, 6-wheeler. I don't know how many wheels. 16, 8. There we go.
One of those.
Listen, Peter Parker Pan. I don't care.
No, definitely. Before I let you go though, what's up with you? What's next? Where can people follow you?
Yes, sir. You can find me on Instagram at define.louis, DEFINE.LOUIS. I'm looking for people who are authentic and genuine. So if you think you are authentic and genuine, you're probably not authentic and genuine. But if you think you're not, then you are.
Who are you?
I just like confusing people.
Who are you?
Oh, who am I?
No,
I am that I am. God,
hey, yo. No, but what's next for you? Is there anything you're working on? Any passion projects for you?
Yes, this quarantine has me prepared to set off more photography. I got rolls of film to develop. I do film photography. So I'll be posting. I want people to get in tune with that. Stay tuned for that. I have also in the works coming up maybe towards the end of the summer, a fashion line that I'll be launching with the help of yours truly, Dean Satchwell, who's been helping me very much.
That's a name drop. I actually have to get him up here. That's my uncle.
Yes, please get your uncle. Your uncle don't want to talk to you.
I actually didn't ask him if he wanted to be serious. I haven't asked him yet. I definitely want to come correct because he's a great guy. So
he might duck you.
Nah, don't ever talk bad on my family. But thank you for coming up here, John. Oh! It's like, thank you for coming up, John. I really appreciate it. This conversation will continue. I love it, dude. It got real. We hopped right into it, and we got a whole lot more coming. From us together, conversations, us and other people. We got some really great stuff coming. So thank you guys for joining. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, a whole lot of other directories. Let's run it up. Thank you guys.